boys and girls, friends, loved ones, children of all ages.
This side. Cut the Plastic is live right now in front of me. There's Brian. So I'm here. Sorry. So I'm here down in Denver on 20th and Blake at the Candlelight Vigil I told you I was coming back to, right? So, get my... And there's all kinds of people over here. Posh, I see Posh. I see Pasha over there. It's so noisy. I see Pasha over there. I'll have to go say hi. And I just talked to Dee. And there's all kinds of food over there. I'll show you. And I brought some candle. I brought some Chanel. Hi, sweetie. How are you doing? I wish you were here. I'll see you tomorrow morning, though, Chanel. Let's see. I don't know, guys. I'm so upset that my poor tripod is broken. I'm just.
Hey everyone.
So bad. Okay. Sounds like
some people fill in right now, and then we get started around like 6:20. Thank you for showing up on
he just said that they're just having people fill in and waiting for people to show up. So. Yeah. It's Coors Field. It's Coors Field. It's so weird. Okay, there we go. That's tight. Let's crack you up. Hi. Hi, guys. So, let's see if I can keep this together. This way.
That's a very nice and funky sign. Is that up in the box at the office?
That's perfect.
It's fantastic.
It is.
Because you can take it back to work, reutilize it, and it's a message to your coworkers continuously.
I didn't want to take a dirty cardboard box out of my recycling bin. I had this in my head.
So
It's beautiful.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic. What does this mean to see such a crowd out here today?
I really didn't think this was going to show up, to be honest. So, and I know we're probably going to file it. So it's awesome.
Excellent. And you'd like to say to people in regards to what's been going on around the United States as the rhetoric of 4 years is changing, that we can maybe find a way to soften our hearts?
I think probably the best is just to like spread the information around. I think a lot of people don't know it's actually happening. And they want to know. I think they would feel like the way we said, and they like they have to, right?
Yeah, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about that there's a lot of violence and anger out there, that racism isn't okay, that for many, many years. I heard a conversation today talking about how during Gone with the Wind, the Southern experience that was portrayed as a movie, that people of the day said this is the wrong story to tell.
Really?
We shouldn't be talking about it. We shouldn't be making this movie. So we need to speak out. We need to have it, a better conversation. I cannot believe the crowds, folks, that are walking up still.
Yeah,
behind
it's
you,
awesome.
right? I mean, just sides, legal observers. It's just a community. I can feel your positive energy. I'm so glad for it. So glad for it. Thank you. Yeah, you're just we're glad to be out today. I can see it. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? Hi. I'm Carol.
I'm Anita.
Juanita, nice to meet you, Juanita. So I made some muffins. So they're cherry muffins, and I got chocolate. Hey, how are you? I brought some muffins, honey. Are there cherry? Are there chocolate?
Chicken patty sandwiches.
Okay. I got cherry muffins there. I made cherry muffins, honey.
Nostalgia, I did that.
Yeah. See, you guys? Cherry muffins. And that's peanut butter. And then oatmeal chocolate cookies with cherry on top. And cherry muffins. And here's some food. Here's some lasagna. And I made cherry muffins. Yeah. Yeah. It looks like potatoes and veggies and cornbread and chicken patties and everything's awesome. And rice mash. Hi, sweetie. Good. How are you? This is a cute bike.
She's done it to me once. She jumped in my arms once.
Really?
Tasha.
What's her name? Tasha.
Tasha. Come here, buddy.
Tasha. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good. So here's the sign again. We saw each other earlier. And tell me your name one more time.
Kenny.
Kenny, and I'm Carol. Carol Funk. So
Thank you so much for being here.
look on YouTube later on tonight. Okay. Look how beautiful you look. Oh, you're gonna do awesome, and okay. Hi. It's exciting. You just are you, yeah, you're not. What's your daughter's name? Layla Rain. Awesome, beautiful. There's Pasha over there.
I had literally almost written a book of girl names that she was all from.
So
she came out being Layla Rain.
that's beautiful. You know, my boys are Uriah Joshua Funk, and Levi Michael Cox. And then my girls are Jennifer Christine Funk and Samantha Ann Funk.
Right? It's
So
super.
the boys have cool names. They're
We're gonna start here like 6:20.
go say hi to Pasha.
Try to figure out the sound of it. I guess I'm gonna just keep talking so we can test the sound out. Yo, thank you everyone for coming here.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just trying to look how beautiful you look. Okay. All right.
Can everyone hear me in the back? Okay, just a little bit. Okay, I think Teddy. Teddy. Oh. Okay. I think this is the loudest it's gonna get. So if we could just have like people fill in a little bit more. I know like social distancing, but if we could just all keep our masks on and shit.
Please. Okay.
Okay.
So. Oh, well, it would help if I didn't have it all tied up together.
Maybe.
Lord help me. Okay.
If we could have everyone get in like a circle type, like a semi-circle type situation, just so the sound could travel a little deeper into the back of the crowd. Oh, bring this into the... My fault. Oh, or if we could come around in a circle towards the back too. Yeah, so if y'all can fill in behind as well, that would be cool. Okay, and then we no, so we're gonna have people like go. Yeah, if we could have more people like fill in near the back too, just so everyone can hear. So like this one? Okay, for sure.
Teddy. Hi guys. Hi guys. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, if we could just have more people that are like near the back come around this way, or people near the front come around this way, so that we can have this sound travel, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Can people near the back hear me? Could I get like some hands up in the back if y'all can hear me? So that's about as far as it goes. So point this that way? Alright.
Right? Amplify.
Can people in the back hear me now? Maybe not. Still that far? Okay. Yeah, shit, I'm sorry. I should have tested this out before, I guess.
So you can put it on? Can you put it on something? Is there...
Just get a couple of guys holding everyone there. Yeah, maybe.
So, hey guys, there's so many people here. Look, there's Laura. There's G, she's going to speak soon. And Pasha. And Teddy was here.
Hey, we just want an Asian time, that's all it is.
And we're in front of Cruisefield. See? We're in front of Cruisefield. And let me show you. Cruisefield. My first husband built this place. He was supervisor or super on the general contractor. Freaking this in the Pepsi Center. He's director of operations. He retired from the construction company, Martinson. But yeah.
How about now? Can people in the back hear me now? For sure. Okay, that's better. Okay, sweet.
I spent a lot of elite time.
We're just gonna have Katie start off with the land acknowledgement.
When I was white privileged, I guess, corporate wife.
Thank you guys all for coming out today. We're going to begin, as we should begin all gatherings, with the land acknowledgement. So the first thing I'm going to ask you all to do is to close your eyes. Oh yeah. And I want you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out and come to right here, and you can open your eyes now. We acknowledge that this city, colonized Denver, Colorado, sits on Arapaho, Cheyenne, Sioux, and Ute lands. We acknowledge the harm that this country, a settler colonialist nation, caused by systemically and forcibly removing indigenous people from their land across the country and by enacting indigenous genocide. We acknowledge that indigenous people still live here in Colorado and across the country. We acknowledge that indigenous genocide was attempted in order to steal land that was then used in large part to expand the institution of slavery. We acknowledge that the institution of slavery, that this land, the stolen land that was exploited, was profitable mostly because it was worked by enslaved black people. We acknowledge that the large majority of this oppression was carried out and led by men, that patriarchy would have it no other way. In that, we acknowledge the interconnected nature of all systems of oppression, of indigenous genocide, of slavery, of racial capitalism, of patriarchy, of imperialism, colonialism, white supremacy, and patriarchy. We must acknowledge the land, but acknowledgement in and of itself is not enough. We must also ask the land, because where these systems of oppression have intentionally and violently rewritten histories, the land remembers. Can everyone say that? Repeat after me. The land remembers.
The land remembers.
The land remembers when it was stolen in 1850 by settlers who arrived here during the gold rush. The land remembers how across the western United States, many Chinese people worked on the railroads and in the mines. This land remembers that right here was a haven for Chinese people who came here during the gold rush. This is the site of Denver's Chinatown. The land remembers how this frightened white supremacy, this frightened white people in Colorado and across the United States. There was anti-Asian racism and hysteria. This land remembers October 31st, 1880, the Hop Alley riots, wherein white supremacist rioters burned down businesses in Denver's Chinatown, abused Chinese residents, and hanged a man. This land remembers that that wasn't an isolated incident, that riots like that were happening all across the United States during the 1880s. The land remembers the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which barred Chinese people from immigrating here based solely on their country of origin. The land remembers that this anti-Asian racism was not limited to Chinese people, that here in Colorado, there was an internment camp for people of Japanese heritage during World War II, and don't even get the land started about imperialism. The land remembers, and we must listen and acknowledge it. That's land back. That's all of us are connected in our struggle for liberation. Imperialism, colonialism, capitalism, white supremacy, and patriarchy. We fight together, all of us, for each other. We fight for the land, and the land fights for us. Indigenous people still live here. BIPOC people still live here. And we fight together for each other forever. Thank you.
Good, yeah. No. Hi, I'm Pasha. 안녕하세요. Here's Let's give a huge round of applause for this young man who put this entire event together. Can you believe this? And for all the volunteers who brought food, and for the guy who loaned us the amp and the microphone, and for all of you guys who turned out here, let's give them a huge, give yourselves a huge round of applause. Woo! It's amazing looking out here and seeing people of all different races, ethnicities, people I recognize from the LGBTQIA plus community, Koreans, Japanese, Tay, I see you peeking over there, and everyone else. Jonathan Singer is here. He's one of our state representatives, and yeah, Leslie Harrod's here, and Howard's here, and so we're so grateful to everyone for coming out. One of the things I've been telling people is that it's wonderful that this is such an intersectional community, because only by going forward together, no matter the color of our skin, no matter our zip code, no matter our socioeconomic status, are we going to be able to make real change in this country. And so thank you all for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to the star of the show. Oh, there's food over there, there's water, there's drinks over underneath their white tent. We have extra candles, we have sign making materials, and so if you're feeling lightheaded or whatever, go grab a granola bar. And sorry, we don't have any kimchi or any. Right? He's like, oh, I wish. He sees us in our Korean gown. Yeah, no kimbap. So, but I'm going to turn it over here to the star of the show. So let's give Kobe a huge round of applause. Woo!
All right. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's here. I think like y'all can tell I'm pretty nervous right now, and y'all are giving me strength, and I appreciate that. If we could just start off with a moment of silence for the folks who were murdered in that senseless hate crime on Tuesday. If y'all could just bow your heads as I list off the names of those victims. Soon Chung Park, age 74. Hyunjung Kim, age 51. Sunchak Kim, age 69. Young Yu, 63. Jiao Jae Tan, 49. Dao Yo Feng, 44. We could just have a moment of silence for them. These folks were mothers, wives, daughters, friends, and loved ones. But above all, I think it's important to just recognize that these were regular people. Regular people who expected to go home and share a meal with their families after a long day of massaging people's backs, cleaning people's feet, doing things a lot of people wouldn't do so that they can take care of their people. Doing things a lot of people wouldn't do in hopes of achieving a better life. I think it's just heartbreaking to know that they couldn't go home and share that meal with their families. I want y'all to understand why we're here in this location today. About 150 years ago, where you're standing, and from about 15th to 20th, and from Market to Wazi, this used to be Chinatown. What is now labeled as Lodo used to contain much of where Chinatown used to be. On October 31, 1880, another victim of an Asian hate crime perpetuated by white men was denied that right to go home, just like the victims we're here to honor tonight. Luke Young. Luke Young was lynched by a white mob of 3,000 violent white men on the corner of 19th and Arapahoe. He was lynched on a light post while they shouted, "Stomp out the yellow plague." For those who don't know that history, it's not a fucking coincidence. Just like it's not a fucking coincidence that before we even knew the victims' names from Atlanta, we knew that the man who committed that hate crime came from a good Christian background and had a fucking youth pastor for a father. Things I couldn't fucking care less about. It's not a fucking coincidence because we all know about the inception of this country. The atrocities that this country has committed in the name of upholding the white supremacy. White supremacy that is woven so fucking deep into the fabric of this country. You can see it so clearly when you see this killer in the back of a cop car without restraints. You can see it when you see Elijah McClain's killer still walking free. You can see it in the inherently racist and so fucking cruel politics that Mayor Hancock puts down upon our homeless communities that displaces black and indigenous folks at the highest rate. You can see it when you go to Aurora and you see ICE locking up our immigrant population and putting these young children in fucking cages. And when you can see that, you can see that this massacre in Atlanta was no coincidence at all. It's just this country operating as it always has. And when you can see that all of our problems are so intersectional, I hope you can also understand that there is no quick solution like we all want, but the light at the end of the tunnel is that there is a solution. The only solution is coming together to stand up for the next man, woman, non-binary, and trans person. We're so easy to pick off when it's just one group of people fighting for their own cause. You know, when we were out all summer after the brutal murder of George Floyd, getting our ass beat by DPD, fear of getting arrested, and so much worse, I was frustrated with us. I was frustrated with the Asian community. frustrated with our lack of solidarity with our black brothers and sisters, frustrated with the anti-black rhetoric coming from our elders, coming from our families. And to the younger Asian community that are here, I hope you understand that it's on us to fix that shit for the next generation. It's so evident that this punching down shit doesn't work and will never fucking work. We've seen it, yo. This punching down shit will never fucking work. The only solution is to come together and punch up. Up against the systems that keep us down, or else shit like the shit that happened in Atlanta on Tuesday is gonna keep happening. Because nothing's gonna get fixed until everything gets fixed. I heard my friend Chaz say the other day something along the lines that the oppressor will only do to you what you allow them to do. I just want y'all to think about that. And I hope what I said resonated today with some of y'all. And if it did, that you really take action on it in your daily lives. If you see somebody getting attacked, stop that shit. I know we were all excited to see that Chinese woman beat up that man who tried to attack her in San Francisco. Yo, but she shouldn't have had to do that shit.
That's right.
It should have been people like us stopping that shit when she was fucking getting attacked. She shouldn't have to wield the 2x4 to fucking hit back when she's one of our elders, one of the respected. If you see somebody getting harassed or ridiculed, or whatever you see that does not morally fit into our envisionment of a better world, put the onus on yourself to stop it. Because no one's coming to save us, and I think y'all can see that. You know, Asian people, we just think it's okay to like keep our heads down and just worry about us and worry about our own families, but that's just not how shit's gonna go, because as y'all can see, that's just coming to our front doorstep now. So yeah, like I said, no one's coming to save us, not the police, not politicians, but only us. So put the onus on yourself to fix what you think is wrong. I appreciate y'all for being out here. We have about like 11 speakers. I'm not trying to keep y'all that late, but the next speaker we got is Pasha. Oh wait, right? Laura, my fault. Yeah, exactly, my fault, I got y'all mixed up. Okay, here's Laura.
Hello everyone, my name is Laura Dennison Langford. I'm a 34-year-old biracial Asian American woman. I am here to talk about how this has affected so many Asian American people's lives. And it hasn't just affected us just this week, okay? Yes, we have seen people within the last year being tortured and berated and being made fun of. But this has been going on for quite some time. Like Cody said, right here we are standing where Chinatown used to flourish. And it's just tragic to know that over one fight, it was a pool fight, by the way, people were playing pool. Over one pool fight, they decided to burn a whole community in one evening, October 31st, 1880. And, you know, the crazy thing about that was Asian hate. Okay, the crazy thing is that, sorry, hold on one second. The crazy thing, before 1880, before that incident, 5 years prior, the Page Law in 1875 was enacted. And it basically stopped Chinese women from being able to migrate here under the impression that they were prostitutes. So this act that this man did to these women in that massage parlor who were of Asian ethnicity, who Asian women owned that spa and massage parlor. For us to say that it was just because of his sexual deviance is not addressing the intersectionalities of what's really happening here. Asian Americans have been treated this way for over 100 years. My mother, my Omani, brought over half of my family over here working hard and building up her businesses from scratch. She sacrificed so much for me to be alive in a country where she thought we were free and would not be discriminated on. In Korea, my grandmother was an albino Korean woman. My grandfather didn't have proper clothing because of war times until he was 9. They had to work hard, lost children, just to survive after the war and even before it. But after the war, my mother was born, and she just wanted a better life, knowing that she's lost brothers, family members. And one of the brothers was actually murdered because of sickness, because they couldn't get help during that time. So there was a lot of stress that my mom had to undergo and a lot of trauma that she had to suffer. So she sold fish and candy with her brother just to get here. She was able to successfully make it here, but she did have to live in a military base in order to get her citizenship. While coming to America, they didn't have very many choices on a lot of the paperwork. There was only the choice of either black or white. And on that paperwork, the lady told her that she needed to correct it during that time because she said she was white. Her skin was light. She thought she was white. And they told her, no ma'am, you are not white. You are not Caucasian. So she had to choose black. My mother worked so hard and had so many businesses. One of the businesses was a massage parlor and a spa. My godmother and her both owned multiple ones in Dallas, Texas. Not all of them were soliciting sex. Not all of them were sex-orientated establishments. After she passed, I was harassed. I was harassed a lot by political community members, by police that didn't really support my mother's type of business. So I moved to Colorado. I mean, there's 2 H Marts here. I thought, there's a large Asian community. So, yeah, and 2 Pacific Ocean. Yeah, I mean, come on, lots of really amazing stores. And I figured, okay, I don't want to move to Florida. I mean, come on. And there's a lot of gig work there, but Colorado was just blowing up, and it was good work. Many of my family members moved away too after my mother passed away. But my Aunt Sunny still works at a spa there in Dallas, Texas. And I wonder, after this incident and after seeing posts on social media, does everyone think that massage parlors and spas are just sex parlors? I mean, seriously, she works at King Spa. It's a very reputable spa in Dallas. And then I think, could this be people that my mother worked with that died? Could there be other places targeted because they see the Asian community, especially the Asian women, as sexualized objects? I had no idea of Colorado's history, and learning about Hop Alley was something that brought tears to my eyes. You know, many of the people moved here not just because of the gold rush, because we were cheap labor for the railroad systems. And you know, the area was huge. It extended from 15th Street to 20th Street and from Market Street to Wazee. And that incident was the first ever recorded race war here. And the crazy thing, guys, no one ever mentions this because nobody ever wants to talk about the money. But $30,000 of damage was done, and nobody was reimbursed for that. Nobody. I mean, think about that. 1880, $30,000 worth of damage. Thinking about it now, that's just insane. You know, there's a plaque. It's right over in that corner, southeast corner. And it's just racist. And it's just denying the fact that the Chinese community was destroyed here. I mean, it's literally like 2 or 3 paragraphs. You know, it talks about a white guy and a pool fight. But it doesn't it doesn't signify the damage. It doesn't signify the hurt. And it doesn't signify all the hate that is still happening in Colorado to this day. Some of the things that Asian and Korean immigrants have endured is just heartbreaking. The Immigration Act of 1924, after that heinous crime here, basically excluded Korean immigrants into the United States. And then the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 opened up more opportunities for Korean Americans to move out of enclaves into middle-class neighborhoods. I mean, that means not just Korean Americans had to live in these situations. It was a lot of Asian Americans. So the crazy thing is, my mom moved over here when there was a large group of them who were married to U.S. citizens. So with the passage of the Nationality Act of 1965, Asian Americans were able to finally start moving into the United States. The biggest issue I worry about in present day is the older Asian community, especially the women. I know that lady who was 70 beat the heck out of that guy. Woo! But the video after broke my heart. She doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel at all well. If you see her face, it is completely bruised. There are close to 23 million Asian Americans here in this country. And nearly 3,800 hate crimes were reported just between March 19 of last year and February 28th of this year. And the thing is, women were targeted at a disproportionate rate, making up 68% of the reports. Asian women are fetishized, hypersexualized, and has seen as docile and submissive. On top of that, they often are working in service sectors like massage parlors and salons
where they're subject to a lot of abuse that they don't report. A lot of Asian American businesses have been already hit especially hard. And it all started when President Trump, or ex-President Trump, decided to say that this was a Chinese virus. And we all need to recognize that we need to stop all of this hate and begin supporting each other, because hate is a virus. Thank you.
There's a reason why I took off my mask. This is who I am. My name is Daniel. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And when I was younger, growing up in Macon, Georgia, my mother told me this: look down and be silent. The reason why was because she knew, my father knew, my aunts, my uncles knew that you had to be silent in this country as an Asian American. A lot of times they have worked hard, 16-hour days, 20-hour days. I never saw my parents growing up. Growing up in Macon, Georgia was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And it was hard, it really was. But it taught me strength, and it taught me community. I didn't grow up with a lot of Asians, unfortunately. But seeing all this right here was all I need. When the shooting happened in Ackford, Georgia, it was 5 minutes away from where my mother used to work at a laundromat, where she would go there and do dry cleaning, do alterations for people's clothes. This shooter could have, instead of going to Asian massage parlors, could have gone to other Asian-owned business. He could have gone to an Asian restaurant. He could have gone to a laundromat, beauty supply stores, gas stations. This is the reality we face today. And this guy, this coward, targeted Asian women, who are the bedrock of our society and Asian culture. They have done so much for me, for all of us right here who are Asian. Let's be honest. They have worked so hard. And what made me mad is that sheriff, back in Georgia. And of course, he had to say he was at the end of his rope. He had a bad day. Well, in my bad day, I smoke a blunt. What are you talking about? Ridiculous. I drink a 40. But they have to defend him. And they have to let go of what Asian women got to say. One of the surviving witnesses said in Korean, in the Korean Atlanta Times, said in Korean, this is what Robert Long said: I am going to kill all Asians. And what did the mainstream media reported? It was a sex addiction. And if you look at 1875, what Laura was talking about, 1875, when the Page Act wasn't acted into law, the first restrictive act to restrict any immigration in this country was against Asian women, specifically Chinese women. Even President Ulysses Grant said in a speech, saying Asian women are immoral. And to this day, in 2021, and you think after civil rights, you think after Dr. Martin Luther King, you think after Vincent Chan, we still got to deal with this. Asian women are still sexualized, Asian men are demasculinized, and Asian people have no representative. No, we are not represented at all. I cried when I watched Crazy Rich Asians. You know why? That was the very first time I saw a man who was not a nerd, who was not weak. That was the very first time I see a guy. I was like, he's hot. Let's be honest. And that gave me hope. And then when I saw him, I forgot what the new movie name is. Minari. That was a beautiful movie because that's a representative. That was very similar to my parents' story growing up in Georgia when we had a gas station. Their difference was in Arkansas, they had a farm, but we had a gas station in the middle of Georgia where they speak, where it's not Georgia, it's Georgia. as a Macon, Georgia, you know. But at the end of the day, we're here united. I've seen people all race, all ethnicities, sexual orientation, age, here's gathered today to say a simple message: stop Asian hate crimes.
Yes, dear. Oh. Our wife.
Thanks, Daniel. My name is Eve, and I was born in Taipei, and at the age of 15, I moved to Australia with my family as a migrant. And I spent 25 years of my life down under. Until April 2015, I moved again. And now I happily call Denver home. As someone who was born in a monoculture and then spent all of my adult lives in two countries that is based in immigration and also multiculturalism, we have people in this country from over 150 nationalities. And I feel really, truly blessed to be able to learn about the beauty of different cultures, food, art, music, worldview, religions. I learned to live in harmony with people who look very different to me. Sadly, I have also a fair share of prejudice, discrimination, and the racial biases experiences in the last 30 years. If you're a parent, you will know racism is learned. No child was born a racist. You put a group of toddlers together from different skin colors, they would just naturally reach out and start playing. They might fight over toys, but no kid will hit each other simply because they look different. My first taste of the existence of racism was in my social study class during my senior year at a Catholic school in Brisbane, Australia. I was one of the only 4 Asian kids in the entire school. I was working on an assignment about racism and the impact of racism. And as part of the assignment, I had my classmates fill out a survey and asked them to rank basically all different races in terms of superiority to inferiority, all the way to chimpanzees. To my shock, Asians are ranked below chimpanzees by my fellow 17-year-old Aussie classmates. I was literally sitting there surrounded a bunch of people with this racial bias. That was the first time I learned my skin color, my almond-shaped eyes. They are my brand. And people actually judge me, my words, simply based on this brand. And that was the first time I ever was exposed to firsthand how it feels like to be perceived as anything lower than animals, basically. In my 25 years living in Australia, I must say, I've only experienced one harassment due to my race. For the most part, racism is there, but it's not acted on. Australia has hate speech law. Australia also has very strong discrimination law protecting all Australians against discrimination. At times I feel isolated, alienated, but I have never once feared that someone will actually harm me physically because of what I look like. In a short 5 years I lived in Denver, I was verbally abused, physically intimidated, and I got told to go back to where I come from 3 times. I don't think I need to explain why such hate was played out in action in bright daylight. When we had a hate about this country, spewing hatred about people of colors almost on a daily basis. On the day I was naturalized as an American this year, American citizen, I have to say I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel welcome at all because of all these experiences. when it really should be one of the most exciting, really great achievement, milestone, that is worth celebrating. And like so many here today, when I learned about the Atlanta shootings at the 3 Asian-owned businesses, I was not shocked, but I was extremely overwhelmed by the fears and the mixed emotion. And it took me 2 days to be able to navigate through all these emotions. No one wants to live in fear, but racism and hate crimes brought out a feeling of helplessness. Because being an Asian or having my almond-shaped eyes, none of those are things I can control or can hide. It put me on a quest to learn about why there is so much hate and why some people feel they can verbally, physically hurt another human being simply because they look different. Through my research, I found there are 7 major factors for racism to thrive in our country. Let me read them to you. Categories, which organize people into distinct groups. Factions, which trigger in-group loyalty and inter-group competition. Segregation, which hardens racist perceptions, preferences, and beliefs. Hierarchy, which emboldens people to think, feel, and behave in a racist manner. Power, which legislates racism on both micro and macro levels. Media, which legitimizes the overrepresented and idealized the representation of white Americans, while marginalize and minimize people of color. And pacifism, such that overlooking or denying the existence of racism encourages others also to do so. As humans, we all bleed the same color blood. We're not meant to hate each other. In fact, we are far more connected than we think we are separate. And we rely on one another to live in a peaceful and successful life. Racism affects not just the community that is targeted, but it also it basically affects all of us, including the community the perpetrator and the hate crime offenders belong to too. The increase of hate crimes against Asians and the terror act in Atlanta shocked all of us. As we unpack everything, the most important question to me, we must, where do we go from here? The good news, as I mentioned in the beginning, is that racism is learned. So when it's learned, we can unlearn it too. The challenge is how do we even begin that process? After Atlanta, I spoke with a number of Chinese friends, and many are indeed very, very fearful. The sentiment, although it's 100% justified and understandable, it won't solve this racism crisis. We need to bring as many people into the conversation as possible and establish a common understanding that racism is not a brown, black, native, Asian problem. It is an American problem. We must try to create a bridge with those who are not impacted by racism on a daily basis in our community in every possible way and every possible channel we can. As hard it is to talk about the fears, we must engage in dialogues and share our fears and touch our friends at an emotional level. When people understand the struggles at that level, people tend to be open-hearted and people tend to be empathetic. Build allies. I'm extremely grateful to see many people from native, black, brown, white communities here with us today. White folks, you hold the privilege to help educate other fellow white folks in our community on this very sensitive, very uncomfortable subject. Help us use this privilege to help color folks to increase the awareness and empathy in your community. And understand that how harmful this is to all of us. Seek knowledge. There are plenty of resources out there that will teach you about racism and actually teaching people about this subject of all ages and how to combat racism. Get involved. I'm grateful to see so many people are here from, all different racial communities here today. It means that this community is committed to building truly inclusive society based on equality and mateship. For that, I thank all of you. Racism is a virus. As Americans, we must ask what sort of country we want to become in the future. A divided one or an inclusive one in which we all lift each other up. To me, the latter is the true meaning of patriotism. And if enough of us are willing to learn and to do the hard work to build bridges instead of build walls, we can defeat this virus together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janet Damon. Got an echo behind my ear. I'm so grateful to be with you tonight. Okay. I'm here to honor my bloodlines, my Korean ancestors, my Black ancestors, my experiences as a woman who holds these two worlds within her. Being raised by a Baptist man and a Buddhist woman allows me to hold this complexity at my core. I am simultaneously a woman whose ancestors were brought here from West Africa in 1715 to build this nation's wealth under the most oppressive conditions imaginable. My Korean ancestors also knew suffering, the kind that comes with war and military occupation of Korea. This birthed in my parents a deep love of freedom and a deep understanding of what solidarity means and what that means when it's embodied. This means that I am rooted in my Blackness and my Korean self at all times, and no matter the worlds that I walk in. In America, it means that I find myself at the intersection of anti-Blackness, xenophobia, and patriarchy all the time. And I'm here with a single message. You cannot win if you are not fighting all forms of oppression. Anti-Blackness kills. Xenophobia kills. Upholding patriarchy kills. Homophobia is killing. Poverty is killing people every single day in this country. Hate kills. And this hate in America is rooted in white supremacy, and it's designed to disconnect us from our humanity so that you can be a gladiator out here competing for resources and believing that you've won every time you've dehumanized your brothers and sisters. Solidarity means that you are resisting, othering, justifying, and silencing yourself so that you can be compliant to systems of oppression. Solidarity means that you see how these systems are interlocking, immersive, and distinctly connected to ensnare and harm people of color, women, differently abled, neurodiverse, poor, and working class communities. Esteemed poet, activist, and author Audre Lorde told us, "My silence has not protected me. Your silence will not protect you. You are never really a fool." You are never really a whole person if you remain silent, because there's always this one little part of you that wants to be spoken out. We have been socialized to respect fear more than our own needs for language and definition. And while we wait in silence for the final luxury of fearlessness, the weight of that silence will choke us. So tonight, I dare you to use your voice. I want to do a call and response for you. Every time I say these words, I want you to say, when I pause, I will not be silent. When I see the mistreatment of my Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, queer brothers and sisters, I will not be silent. When I see elders being harassed, I will not be silent. When I see women being denigrated or abused, I will not be silent. When I hear comments made about communities of color and those who are gender expansive, I will not be silent. When I see othering and psychological violence, I will not be silent. When I see that you need my help, my advocacy, my fellowship, and my voice, I will not be silent. I will not be silent for you, and we will not be silent for each other. May our words become actions, and may our actions bring peace. Ashe.
evening, everyone. My name is Joey, and that's me. All right, can you hear me? I want to first thank Cody for having us here today and having this space to allow us to mourn. And I didn't really prepare anything because I just sort of wanted to speak from my heart. So I hope it's okay with y'all. I can speak a bit casually. Woo! What really pisses me off is when they keep saying it's because he had a bad day. He had a bad day. We all have bad days. My mom, she's a refugee from Vietnam. She had to sneak out in the middle of the night in the dark with her family. They had to sneak on a boat, and she was stuck on that boat for almost a month because no one wanted to accept Vietnamese refugees at that time. And she was seasick the entire time. I would call that probably a bad day, maybe a bad month. In fact, it was a bad year because once she arrived in Hong Kong, she was in a refugee camp for 10 months before she could finally make it here. I'd call that a bad year, a bad few years. When they finally got here, my mom actually couldn't finish middle school back in Vietnam. And when she came here, she didn't finish high school either. She had to drop out and work for her family. And when I was born, and my dad was there in that room, and my mom had went through labor for, 16 hours. And he looked at me and he was like, "She's so ugly, are you sure she's mine?" And then he left. I'd call that a fucking bad day. She didn't go and shoot people. You know what she did? She got her shit together. She worked every day. She made sure I had a good life. She put food on the table. A few years ago, when my mom was walking in the neighborhood that she lived for several years, a big truck rolls on by. Some white kids in their 20s, she tells me, they stick their heads out their window. They stare her down. They slow down. They're driving right next to her, and they yell at her. They said, "You fucking chink!" She said she was scared. She said if she ran, she knew she couldn't outrun them. She's older. They're young. This is her neighborhood. I call that a bad day. Stop excusing white supremacists. Stop excusing that shitty behavior because we all have bad days and none of us are mass murderers. I see a lot of faces here and it's very heartening. But I ask that you keep showing up. Because this hashtag is no longer going to be trending in a few months. I need you to not only come here for this moment, I need you to continue to stand up. I need you to continue to stand up not just for Asians, but for Black, Indigenous people of color, for LGBTQ community, for any marginalized community that needs help. Because this is not a one-time thing. This is a journey. This is a lifetime of work, and we can't do this alone. I want to end with a poem I wrote. It was inspired by Joanna Ho's children's book. It goes, "I have eyes that kiss in the corners. My yellow skin reflects like moonlight. In my veins runs the blood of survivors. So many things have conspired to kill me before I could even exist. Yet I'm still alive. My existence is a revolution." Thank you. Amplify the voice, right? Yeah. We got to do that. My name is Diana. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Cody, for organizing this and having me here. He's 25 years old, guys. I want to provide you with statistics. I printed up 75. I wasn't expecting this. You know, I hate to say that, but I want to provide you with statistics about the Asian and American Pacific Islander from the census from 2018. The Asian population, Chinese, 5.1 million. Asian Indian, 4.5 million. Filipino, 4.1. Vietnamese, 2.1 million. Korean, 1.8 million. Japanese, 1.5. Pakistani, 500,000. Thai, 329,000. Hmong, 320,000. Cambodians, 300,000. Laotian, 262,000. Taiwanese, 213. Bangladesh, 213,000. Burmese, 189. Nepalese, 175. Indonesian, 116,000. Sri Lanka, 61,000. And the native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander population, Native Hawaiian, 626,000. Samoan, 213. Gomanan and Chamorro, 182,000. Tongan, 62,000. I can honestly say I didn't know some of these. That is over 21 different Asian and Pacific Islander ethnicities with different languages, different religious backgrounds. I want to honor these victims of this anti-Asian hate crime by telling you a little bit about each of them, which you know that a few of them have not expressed about who they are because that's just the way the Asian community is. If they don't want their information out there, they're going to keep it to themselves, and we have to respect that. So what I have found, Sun Si Park was 74. Hun Jun Grant, he was South Korean, 51, a single mother, working hard to provide for her 2 sons. Sun Jun Kim, 69. Yun A.U., 63. Delaney Ashley Yun, 33. A mother to a 13-year-old son, an 8-month daughter, leaves behind her husband, who she has only married for less than a year. Paul Andre Michaels, American. 54, lived in ATL for 26 years, owner of an alarm company, and lives behind Bonnie, his wife. Zhao Jie Tan, Chinese, American. 49, a mother, and would have been 50 years old 3 days ago. And she was the owner of a young spa who worked 12 hours a day. John Fung, 44. Elias Hernandez, the shooting, he survived, and he removed his bullet from his tummy. He does have a GoFund page that you can donate to. I'd like to ask everyone to have a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. 6 of the women are of Asian descent. This is a terrifying reminder of the dangers women, and especially women of color, face just living their daily lives. The 21-year-old shooter blamed a specific race of people for what he claimed was a sexual addiction and murdered them because of it. A 21-year-old. That's sickening. We all know too well how true this is to today's society, that Asian women are fetishized, sexualized, and marginalized, which makes us vulnerable to violence. We are depicted in film, video, theatrical productions such as, and you all know what it is. According to NNEDV, the everyday racism and sexism against women yields deadly results, as this dehumanizing creates a climate that makes a violence excusable. 41 to 61% of Asian women report experiencing physical and or violence by an intimate partner during their lifetime. Who can raise their hand about that? Can anybody raise their hand? Any of the Asian women, how they feel? I've been abused. They can't admit it, because they won't. Asian Americans make up 5.6% of the nation's population, at approximately 22 million strong, the fastest growing racial or ethnic group in the U.S. What is happening is an act of hate, racism. The horrific massacre in Georgia is sadly the latest in the uptick of attacks. In San Francisco, Jiang Xinxiang, and I think I'm saying it right, and I hope somebody can help me, but she was punched in the face by a white male and survived. She was tough and defended herself, as she should. In February, Noel Quintana was slashed across the face, from ear to ear, with a machete at a subway in Manhattan while going to work. And then there's 13-year-olds that slapped an 89-year-old Chinese grandmother, then set her on fire in Brooklyn. Racist attacks against Asian Americans have spiked across the country since the start of the pandemic, and they are happening all across the U.S. I was born in the States, raised by immigrants, parents who came here just 45 years ago in 1975. My Hmong people, which there's only about 320,000, my Hmong people fought for the CIA in the secret war during the Vietnam War in exchange for us to be here in the United States. We have no country to go back to. We are targets. We have targets on our backs when my people made that decision to fight for the U.S. Our people are still being slaughtered in the jungles of Laos and left behind. My family did not fight for this country just so we can live in fear and be attacked because of our race. I faced those racial sentiments in the past and present. I've gotten into physical altercations with men and women for my race. But they kicked them out of the bar, not me. As a daughter, my parents raised us to be aware of attackers and taught us to fight back. But now I'm worried for them and if they would be attacked next because of their race. as a mother of 3 children, I'm teaching my children to do the same. The anxiety I feel for my children is uneasy. Since the pandemic and the uptick in the anti-Asian hate, we've secured our homes with cameras and self-defense items, and you will know what that means. I teach my kids how to use it because of this. My family came from war, and I still believe that we are not at war, but it feels like it. We will not be invisible. We will not stay silent. We demand justice for all our communities. Asian, Black, LGBTQ, the natives, the indigenous. The surge of violence is unacceptable, and we collectively need to address and educate our community about the anti-Asian hate crimes. I am not a virus. We've got to stop comparing our atrocities and suffering to one another. Because, honestly, we all share the same pain when we're hurt, right? I call for peace. I call upon everyone, anyone who has ever felt betrayed, dehumanized, objectified, discriminated, just downright treated wrong. We need to stand together in solidarity against these racially motivated violence in any shape or form. I know these are hard times. It's hard to understand one another when we have to fight for our own life. However, for us to all succeed as a community, we need to be one. We need to keep each other informed about multicultural awareness and put a nail on that fucking coffin of racism. It is our job as individuals to show compassion, integrity, love, understanding, humanity, and empathy. I'm begging you, as a woman, as a mother, a daughter, a friend, and a family member, to stand up against racism. I am human. I will continue to amplify my voice to be heard for all. And I encourage you all to do the same thing and amplify the voice you have inside of you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Howard Chom. I see a lot of good faces here that I've worked in the community. I see the General Leslie Herod, I see Tay Anderson the Bull, I see Liz, I see all of us that we've fought together on many other occasions. I want to start with what Joey said. I want to talk about a bad MF day. My grandfather fought on the nationalist army against communism. He died. My grandmother was located, had to jump on a boat from Shanghai to Taiwan. Boat was raided. She jumped into the cold ocean waters before the U.S. Navy picked her up, and she was a refugee here to this country, undocumented, waiting for asylum. That's a bad day. That is a bad day. I'm a father. I got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And make no mistake, I started them young. The minute they could talk, I taught them about racism. Racism is a virus that's rooted in white supremacy. It's rooted in colorism across the globe. And this reason that we're here today is partly because words matter. Rhetoric matters. Attitude reflects leadership or lack thereof. So when we talk about doing something, you hear someone talk, you got to step up to that immediately. Words matter. What did you think would happen when this rhetoric goes unchecked? We saw this summer. We should have stood harder for George Floyd. We should have stood harder for Ahmaud Arbery. We should have stood harder for Breonna Taylor. We have to break down the barriers of these silos we put ourselves in. You know, I grew up in San Fran. One of the most diverse places in this country. And yet, every single day, I was chicken chow mein. I was gook. I was slope. But the good thing there is the comfort that I had with our village, our community. I went down the street and my friend Donovan James' mother, who was black, treated me like her own. My Tongan friends, they treated me like I was one of their own. My Nicaraguan friend, he said, come on over anytime you're hungry. We need to break down the barriers because white supremacy escapes nobody. Nobody. It escapes nobody. It hurts us all, including LGBTQ+, including our disabled community. I remember first talking to my kids about Vincent Chen. Chinese guy who was blamed for stealing work from the auto workers in Michigan. They got 18 months probation for cold-blooded murder. Cold-blooded murder. When you look at the history of America, America is the violent one. We stole it from the indigenous lands. Our tribal communities are almost all wiped out. What did you think would happen? We need to break the barriers, break the silos of all our cultures, and we need to come together. Communities of color need to come together and rise up against the hate. You know, I was talking to Cody the other day, I was talking to Eve the other day, I was talking to Ashley the other day. We're just sitting there talking about what it means to be racist. And why is white fragility so prevalent and so rampant that can't even see that thinking that all Asian massage are sex facilitating places? That is as racist as I can think of. We've already heard over-sexualized, the fetishization of Asian women. But that's not just here. It's been throughout history. Through the natives, through Latinx, through black communities, through Middle Eastern communities, through my Muslim brothers and sisters, through my Sikh brothers and sisters. So I want you to know something. There's a lot of pain right here. A lot of pain. Every time I see this, and not just within my own community, like I said, there's a lot of pain when I see Philando Castile, when I see Tamir Rice, when I see Michael Brown, when I see all of that. But we have the opportunity to turn that pain into power. I said this to even Ashley the other day. When power is built on oppression, they will never relinquish it. When power is built by unity, we want to make sure all of us have it. Let's start here right now, every day, all day. Black Lives Matter, Indigenous lives, protect their lands, protect our Latinx, protect the redlining, or stop the redlining. Protect anything you see. You see something, say something. It's time to step up, everyone. I'm tired of having this conversation with my kids every single day. I want to raise them in a world where we at least have some semblance that white supremacy isn't dominating us. Because it's systemic, it's structural, we need to break that system down. And we need to build it up where all of us have a say in it. Thank you for coming out, and remember, turn that pain into power.
How y'all doing? So I was sitting back there in the Parasol Patrol tent, and it was hard for me to hear a little bit, so I know y'all have had front seat, you know, here, but hang on a second. You ready? 안녕하세요! All right. Just a couple of housekeeping things. I want to thank Cody again, oh my gosh, for putting everything together. I want to thank everybody who brought out, the volunteers that brought out the extra food and the water bottles, and I know they've been circulating through here, and we want to thank them. We want to thank Amplify the Voice and all the other Asian-owned, news organizations out there. I keep hearing all afternoon, all evening, what a great speech I did. I promise you, I am not the only purple-haired Korean woman wearing a hanbok here tonight. So thank you, Mara, for giving such a for those ups. Thanks to Parasol Patrol, that's the organization I co-founded with Eli, the hot guy in the kilt. And we shield kids, children, and their families from protesters like Proud Boys, from TWP, from QAnon, from Denver Anonymous, from the Westboro Baptist Church, using our umbrellas to shield the kids so they don't have to see these horrible hate-filled signs that they bring. And they don't have to hear with ear protection we loan them that they're getting shouted at through bullhorns. Who comes out and screams at children for being black, brown, Asian, everything, for being queer, for being gay, for being trans kids, and they come out and yell at kids. And this is what we have to live with. Grown-ups have to come out and shield children from other grown-ups that come out to yell at children for just trying to be who they are. So that's what the Parasol Patrol does. I'm very passionate about it, can you tell? If y'all need a walk back to your car safely, find somebody over in that white tent with an umbrella. We will help walk you back to your car because some of the bars are getting a little rowdy out there, and they're, what are you doing over there? You know what we're doing over here? We're fighting for our freaking lives is what we're doing. And if you guys want to volunteer to help people walk back and forth to their cars, we do need a few more bodies. So as we start breaking up, if you guys want to give us a hand walking people to their cars, I would appreciate it, because I heard from another Asian woman here today, and we were asking our friends to come out, and they were afraid. They were afraid to come out for a vigil for our own, for all of our own, because they were afraid that they would be harassed, that they would be hurt to come out of their homes after dark downtown. And my husband, who very recently passed, and my daughter was shocked. My daughter and I were walking along the sidewalk ahead of him once, and men were just randomly calling out to us. She was 16, and just catcalling us all. He's like, you know, without that. And I was like, you didn't even notice. didn't know anything about it.
I didn't either. I found out. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Recycled.
Yeah. Makes it extra special.
Everyone was there. We get another one left free.
Hi, Mike.
Where you been?
What do you mean? I told you I was going to take a week off, didn't I?
No.
Oh. Yeah, I needed some time.
Good for you.
Yeah, I didn't get what I wanted to get done, but you know, I cried always. So I feel better now.
That's good.
Sometimes I just, like I told you, I just needed to recenter, I guess.
No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I've basically been on a 4-month reset.
Yeah, I know. It's not really working that well.
I do start up on.
You have to just take it one thing at a time. Just que sera, sera, Mike. Que sera, sera.
I start on Monday.
You do?
Yep.
I'm so excited for you.
Yep.
Working at an art studio is so
No,
fun.
actually not.
Oh, no.
No, I'm working at a brewery.
Oh, well, that's good too.
Yeah, the art studio went with somebody else, so that's fine. I've been producing my own art.
I saw some of your stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, I gotta start selling it.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
No, that is the point. I just got a new book on. Yeah, that's what I was working on today.
Beautiful.
Vases. I've been on a vase kick lately.
I have a whole.
Flower season is coming.
So I worked at I waitressed for a while.
Yeah.
In my
Are you still live streaming?
Yes, I am, honey.
Just wanted to make sure everyone knew this.
Yes. And fuck Hancock too. And fuck Hancock too, honey.
Yeah.
All my homies
and all my homies hate Hancock. Fuck Hancock.
And message to the mayor, you should probably stop the fucking sweets.
Yeah.
I want one of those sweatshirts.
I do too. I really do too.
I do too.
Like Teddy has one on.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
Shannon has one.
I don't need Teddy.
He's running around here someplace.
I haven't met him yet. But I mean, in real life.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that, what's your name?
Tess.
Oh God, why did I do that again?
Because we all smoke too much. Short-term memory is a terrible thing.
I'm like, what is your name? What is that movie with Drew Barrymore? Oh, 50. No, what was it? Remember and Adam Sandler? She forgets he has to. They get married, but anyway, he has to remind her every day of that they're married. That movie? Have you not heard that movie?
What?
I'm gonna go give these to somebody in a tent.
Oh, they play them here?
There's like a ton of them.
Good.
Oh.
God bless you.
I mean,
If you can use them on Monday, whatever.
yeah, I actually will not be down on Monday because I will be at work.
What's your name?
Mike.
Mike and Tess.
Mike, this is Tess. Nice to meet you. I'm a dork. God. What's your name? But you know what movie I'm talking about?
Was it 50 First Dates?
Yes, it was 50 First Dates
right?
because they keep on
They
having
kept having
the
the
same
first
date. Yes. And then they got married, and then she had children, but she still had to be reminded every day. I love movies. I love that movie.
Are you heading out tomorrow morning?
Of course.
Yeah, I'll be out.
I'm back at it, so.
I did not even attempt it last week. I don't know if anybody else did.
Yeah, they did. Conrad was out there, and Kyle. Kyle was out there. He picked the.
Unbelievable.
I recognized Janet's rice cooker, so. So there was not a whole lot of people showed up. I watched.
I can't imagine that a whole lot of people showed up. I mean, it was.
I know Janet wasn't there. I wasn't there, but Brian wasn't there.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, it was drizzling all day on Saturday, and then when I woke up I was like, the rate at which it was coming down,
Yeah.
I was like, if I try to make it, I'm probably going to end up getting stuck trying to get back.
Well, did you see that
I know,
I want the, well, is it gone? The green one that I was going to buy is gone. I should have got it.
No, we probably haven't.
Oh.
We've had it more. It's right here.
There's, which
Green
one?
one's right here.
Yeah.
I moved it.
What size is it?
Double XL.
Oh, yeah, that'll work. Let me get some money.
Let me take it down. Actually, wait. Hold on, ma'am. I don't want to get my Cheeto hands on your shirt.
Okay. I'll get you some money.
That's the thing, is that when we have this protest, we need to be setting up our things.
Okay. So I'm gonna, you see, I got my shirt. Okay, sorry. Here, where did...
Well,
For every sweatshirt that you get one to someone living in the street. Trying to survive. And so we have new ones, and then we're also recycling different like hoodies and stuff. So it's really donation based. We're not trying to like exclude anyone.
You'll take cord for this?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, how much? So it's just donation based. Just know that every shirt will support someone living on the streets in China. Can I Yeah. So it's just I am a human.
Well, if you would read my text.
I don't read anybody's text.
Okay. So I'll tell you what I said. I said keep the $15. Just keep that one. I want a corded one. And just keep the $15. There you go.
Okay. Corded.
A corded one. Uh-oh. And I told you to pick out one you think I would like.
Yeah, if I get one, can I give it back to you at the end of the night?
Just doesn't look super good.
Yeah, that's what it as far as short-term memory goes.
Oh, I know he doesn't remember.
He's one of the worst.
Oh, he's just terrible. He's terrible. I love Brad Bubble.
Check out Message to the Mayor if you haven't. There's a music video.
Yeah, there's a music video, a documentary.
Oh yeah, Message to the Mayor.
Yeah, we're trying to send a message for him to stop the sweeps and just give people housing and bathrooms.
He's not going to stop.
Oh,
we
no
got to
shit.
get him out.
Exactly, we got to get
Yeah, 2022 is coming.
Okay, 2022.
Or we can just refund.
Okay, great.
I don't think that's going to work. Actually, it's amazing how popular he is with certain.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't even think like what having protests and going out.
I need to
I light him up on every social media channel.
The dog is got me all wrapped up in her.
And I get backlash from other people saying, "Oh, you know, it's terrible."
Excuse me.
Can I get this?
No, I don't think. Here. Let's see. Here, hold up my shirt. Hold up my shirt so they can see it. I am human. Look, cool. Yay. I'm so glad I got one of these. I like the hoodies too, but
it's almost not hoodie season anymore.
Oh, dear. I brought my coat. It's really warm tonight.
I didn't bring any of my gear with me.
I know.
That's actually what I was trying to make around. I was going to say, I didn't even know that you were here until literally I came over here, but I will be out again tomorrow. I slept like shit last night, so.
So you said you're going to be there tomorrow morning, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then what time do you start work? When do you start work?
Monday.
Okay.
Monday at 7 in the morning.
Working at a... Oh.
Working at... well, actually, because we're still on street.
Yeah.
As we kneel, as I do a Korean women's vow, what we are to one another. of us together. I'm sorry, this is not part of my speech. And I know I've cried like 10 times in the last couple of days. But this is, I think, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Thank you all. Okay. So now, I claim you all as my family. I claim you as my brothers, my sisters, parents.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, by the way, that's
Great. Mike. Hey, Chanel was over here. Chanel, she was waiting for Dino.
Who's over?
Chanel. You know Chanel and Dino, right? Oh, no, you're down on the other end of the like beverage table.
Okay,
And
yeah.
Dino helps with the clothes a lot, right? And Peggy's here. Do you know Peggy? This is Peggy Ramirez. This is Mike.
I think we've met before.
Yes.
Probably.
Peggy with the brown berets.
Yeah.
Yes. But I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Here, actually, hold my camera too.
We'll see each other. I will see you. Ready? Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Aw.
Okay, so anyway, so that's Peggy and Chanel. Chanel, you know Chanel.
Oh, I'm sure
Hi.
I know. That's what I was saying to Becky. Oh shit! What up, Brett?
I just think you look beautiful.
What are you dressed up for?
Because he can. Because he can. Here, look. Here, let's look at Red. Look at Red. See, look how beautiful he is.
Right out on the town, you know. What ended up happening with the pool?
Oh, good. Thank you.
I got another quarter. The judge kind of looked at it. He's like, yeah. They asked for an extension on time. They're going to give it. They're like, I still got trimming to do on Fox.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you go. And we're still going there, wrapping up over there, and it's beautiful. Let me show you some of the candles over here. Candlelight Vigil. Really fine. Hey, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I see you. Tell me your name again.
Yeah, I'm James. I'm with the Band of Kindness.
I know. One of my buttons is. Remember I showed you? Yeah. All my buttons on my backpack.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, James. I'm Carol Fun.
How are you?
Okay.
Nice to see you.
So, yeah, I'm streaming on Facebook. I'm gonna wrap it up, but then I put it up on YouTube afterwards.
Sure.
Carol Fun. If you want to watch.
Okay, awesome.
I was at the event earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
And then next Saturday.
They had the chief of police up there, right?
Yes.
What did that motherfucker say?
Oh, I had to walk away.
Take it off. Yeah.
I kind of had to walk away, and the rep for Hancock was there.
Yeah.
I was getting a little pissed about it, but you know.
So we kind of wanted to be there, and we were pretty turned off by that.
Yeah.
But wanted to be there anyway, to be honest. But also just didn't have the motivation to be a vocal. So.
But next Saturday.
We're so glad that this turned out to be such a hit.
Look at all the people here. It's wonderful.
There's so many people that care.
Yeah.
How do we hold on to these folks?
That's right.
And make them into permanent activists.
Well, we're talking about, we need to
How do we
We
reach
need to all be,
you know?
yeah, but we need to all be united and together, or work together, stand together. What do we do when Asian lives are under attack?
Right.
Stand up, fight back. What do we do when black, all lives, right?
Yeah.
All of us. So anyway, it's nice seeing you, and I'll see you next Saturday, right?
All right. Yeah, what is that?
PSL is talking about on Saturday.
Okay. Yes. Be there.
Okay.
Bet.
We'll see you. Nice seeing you. Okay.
Individual wealth points on that thing, and it's homemade limo.
So guys, as always, remember it's our duty to fight for our freedoms, and it is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Good night.